Welcome back to Vintage Films. I'm George, and today we're looking at a movie called It Came from Outer Space. Now, I have never seen this film before, and usually when I come across a movie that I'm interested in seeing but I've never seen before, what I like to do is change up my review format a little bit. I'll put the movie in and I'll watch it, and I'll pause it periodically, and I'll jump back on the video to let you know my thoughts. And that's just a fun way for me to give you my experience as I'm going along. And so I'm going to do that today. I think that'll be a little bit of fun. But one thing I'd like to note before we start is a couple of cool things about the film. This is directed by Jack Arnold. And that's noteworthy because we've covered a couple of his films here on this channel before. One of them is The Incredible Shrinking Man. That was a good one. And then Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's another really great one. So he did this, and I'm excited to watch it based on that. And it's also based on a Ray Bradbury story. So there's got to be some good stuff there if it's based on a Ray Bradbury story. And also, it stars Richard Carlson, who we've covered recently. He was in The Day the Earth Stood Still and a couple other things, and so he's in this, and we'll get to see him in this film as well. Alright, so without further ado, I'm just going to get the old remote here. I'm going to press play. We'll get this guy started, and I'll jump back on here in a few to let you know what I think. See you in a few. Welcome back. We're 20 minutes in. I'm enjoying this film. It's pretty cool. One thing I noticed right off the bat is this Blu-ray version has both the 2D and the 3D versions. And I'm a little bummed because I don't have 3D glasses, or I would love to watch the 3D version, but I'm enjoying the 2D version as well. It's pretty cool. Very 50s sci-fi. It's made in 1953. I looked that up. And it's got all the cool elements of that I like. One thing I really enjoy is the music. It's using that theremin and, you know, that type of sound for the music, and that really sets a neat tone for these types of movies. The plot's pretty, so far, straightforward. There's Richard Carlson and his fiancée. They're living in Arizona, and a meteorite strikes out in the middle of the desert, and they go to investigate. Of course, there's an alien inside, and Richard Carlson's the only one that sees it. No one else does, so, of course, no one believes him. Another neat little effect is we see the alien's point of view, and it's got that fisheye lens kind of look. So it's sort of like, we don't get a lot of look at the alien itself, but it's like an amorphous blob with like a single eye, and sometimes it's looking at stuff with that fisheye effect. And that's pretty cool. It sets that neat little 50 sci-fi tone. So that's really all we're at right now. I just wanted to jump in and give you my initial thoughts. Another quick thing I noticed was there weren't any credits at the beginning of the film, and that's different from this era. Usually they'd put all the credits at the beginning of the movie, and then when the film would end, they would just say the end, and that'd be it, and there'd be no credits. Well, this movie so far, there weren't any at the beginning, so I'm assuming they'll be at the back end. We'll check that out when we go back on. So, alright, that's where we are. Just 20-minute check-in. I'm going to jump back in and see where this guy goes. Catch you in a few more. Okay, we're back. We're about 43 minutes in, which I think is a little over the halfway point. It's only like an hour and 20-minute movie, but it's pretty cool. So basically what's going on is Richard Carlson, at the beginning of the film, he witnessed this alien craft in this crater, but then stuff, like there was an earthquake kind of deal, and stuff fell on top of it and buried it, so he's the only one that saw it. And it's one of those stories where he's trying to convince other people that it's going on, but no one believes him. And everyone in the town, they're kind of jerks. They like ridicule him, and they give him a hard time, and he's frustrated because he's like saw this, he knows it's going on. And you know, he tries to tell people, hey, dig down in and you'll find the spacecraft, but they don't want to dig, it's too much work. And in reality, the alien that was in the craft, he's not down there anyway. He got out, or it, whatever you want to call it, and it's out there combing the desert looking for victims to do whatever it's here to do. And that's sort of what's going on here. Pretty cool. I like that theme, the idea of a guy trying to convince other people of this problem, but no one's listening. And that's what we got going on right now. Before we jump back into it, I looked a few things up here when I was on break. I just want to talk about that. I got the clipboard of creeps, and it'll give us a little bit of information here. So, the Universal Makeup Department submitted 2 alien designs for consideration by the studio executives, and the design that was rejected was saved and then later used as the mutant in Universal's This Island Earth from 1955. So it's pretty neat. And then, like I mentioned before, this was the first 3D film to be released by Universal Studios. Now, funny thing about that is I'm watching this, and you know how typically these 3D movies of this era, there's stuff coming at you so you can go, oh, and that gag. I haven't been seeing a lot of moments like that, so you know, that's something to note. I still wish I could watch it in 3D. I might have to find myself some 3D glasses and watch it again one of these days. Anyway, I'm going to jump back in and see where this goes. Like I said, we're a little over halfway through, and the aliens out there running around the desert somewhere, so we'll see where it goes. Catch in a few more. Okay, we're back doing one more check-in before we get to the end. We got a little over 20 minutes left, and I wanted to check in. So, the people of this town are being real jerks. They are really giving Richard Carlson's character a hard time. They don't want to believe him, and the sheriff's like up his case about it. And there's even a guy that like gets on the radio, like a reporter, and calls him out on the radio over it and ridicules him. I'm like, man, chill out, buddy. But no, they're kind of relentless. Anyway, it's pretty cool. We get a little bit of a advancement of what the aliens are. So that turns out that they have a power that can duplicate people, and it's turning into sort of an invasion of the body snatchers kind of deal, where they can duplicate somebody. They run into these guys out in the desert, and that fisheye point of view kind of zooms in, and you hear the theremin go, and then they take over your identity, and then you walk around like a zombie robot. And we don't know what the aliens want or why they're doing this, but that's what they can do. One of the victims that I noticed was the professor from Gilligan's Island. He's in this, and he ran into the aliens, and now he's an alien zombie duplicate, which is pretty cool. And so that's where we are. Richard Carlson's still trying to figure out what's going on. He's finally getting the sheriff toward the end of this segment. I just watched the sheriff starting to come around and realize that maybe there's something to this, and they're going to join forces and move us into the last segment. So I'm going to go ahead and watch this last bit and pop back in and let you know my final thoughts when I'm done. See you in a minute. Okay, that's the end of the film today. It came from outer space. Pretty cool stuff. So it turns out that this is one of those 50 sci-fi movies with a message, and I like that. So, like I said before, when I checked in earlier, the aliens could assume our form and walk around zombie-like. Well, it turns out that that's because they are ugly in appearance in their regular look, and they know that we as humans wouldn't react well to that, so they had to assume our identity in order to keep us from attacking them. So in a way, humans are the aggressors because we're too primitive and mean to accept them for what they are, and they needed to get some components and stuff to fix their ship so they could leave, and they didn't really want any trouble, but they knew they would get trouble from us because they were so ugly. And that's really the message here, is that we need to do better than that. We need to not react that way and be more open-minded. And so I love how these 50s sci-fi movies, they put those little messages into their stories like that. That's pretty cool stuff. I enjoyed that. So yeah, it came from outer space. directed by Jack Arnold, based on a Ray Bradbury story. Good sci-fi. Good stuff. I enjoyed it. So thanks for taking the time to tune in. We're going to do some more videos here in a bit. I got some more lined up. If there are any of these classic old sci-fi or monster horror movies you're interested in, let me know in the comments and I can add it to my list. I would like to cover stuff that you're interested in so we can talk about it and get some more cool videos going. So thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until the next time, have a good one.